Hello, freaks and froglets. Follow me into the dark because I have a story to tell. There are many things in this world, dear listeners. Things so normalized into your everyday life, you've forgotten that there are reasons why you do some of the things that you do. Have you ever thought about how close you are to disaster should you stray from your typical path? This world we venture to, it's like a mirror of our own. Societies have risen and fallen. Technologies rival our own. Science and religion find themselves in similar arguments, such as how this story came to be. SRS 606, building name. Tall satellite dishes aimed to the sky loomed over a gray, windowless building. The guard at the second gate scanned his ID card to let him in. He drove to his assigned parking spot and gathered his things to go inside. Lunch, check. Keys, wallet, phone. Check, check, check. Patting his jacket, he adjusted it, shaking off the wrinkles from driving. He smiled to himself as he walked in. He loved his job, and that was rare for most people. Since he was young, he was in love with the stars and the moon. He memorized the constellations, and when they would be visible in his hemisphere, watched as the moon shifted phases, and stood in awe of meteor showers. The Centurion comet was due in 1 month's time. He had booked a special vacation to see it because of the timing of the annual Supermoon festival. He wouldn't be able to see it in his normal, humble abode. As much as he loved the tradition of the Supermoon festival, this would likely be the only time he could see the Centurion in his lifetime. The Supermoon Festival was a global celebration. Fireworks were set off in every town and city. Legends proclaim it was to chase the moon away. It was one of his favorite holidays, and he was torn when he realized they were going to fall on the same day. Such is life, he thought to himself, sitting down at his desk. Hey, Merrick! He felt as though his whole body rolled his eyes. Hello, Mark. Merrick managed to keep any malice out of his tone, but Mark was just one of those people that got under his skin. His tone, the way he conducted himself, he wasn't a bad person, just not one that Merrick would associate himself with outside of work. The big bosses are here, with some government bigwigs. We have a meeting in 15 minutes. I wonder what they're here for. Maybe they're trying to see which one of us would be qualified to study the aliens. Merrick sighed. You know as well as I do that if there are aliens, the government would never admit to it, much less allow someone with clearance as low as ours to do such tasks. He tried to keep the sarcasm at bay. Sometimes you had to play into his delusions to keep the conversation moving to its end. I know you're right, Merrick, but a man can dream, can't he? I am still a doctor, after all. In astrophysics, not biology, Merrick said curtly. Youch. You're right. Maybe they'll let me map what planet they came from. Wishing this conversation would end, Merrick thought of a clever out. Don't you have other people to inform of this meeting? Mark paled. Oops. Yeah, I gotta scram, buddy. See you in a bit. Relief washed over Merrick. Government officials, huh? Merrick muttered to himself. The meeting room was stuffed to the brim, with folks from all departments, and in front of the room stood a man in a military uniform, waiting for latecomers to settle into their spots. Good evening. My name is Richard Hughes, Senior Officer in the 1st Legion. An eerie hush fell over the crowd. This wasn't some random military officer. This was the top-of-the-line advisor to the Republic. He If we as a country went to war, this was the man who aided the representatives in their course of action. He was the head of the military branch, the sweeping arm of the East. I'm sure you're all wondering what we are here for today, and let me reassure you, Arkia is not going to war. Many let go of the breath they had been consciously or unconsciously holding. We are here today because there has been a summit, and there has been a consensus drawn about the Centurion. The comet? What does that have to do with the summit of world leaders? Merrick's brows furrowed. I'm sure you all have a keen understanding of the situation at hand. Given that the opportunity to study this event only comes once every 100 years, there will be a government-enforced blackout on the 26th of Gold next month. This includes celebrations of the Supermoon. A chorus of awe and muttered disapprovals radiated through the room. We know that this will be difficult to achieve given the tradition, but the governments have issued their bans of the celebration this year in the name of science. It should serve those of you who are religious well to know that the High Priest himself has agreed to this arrangement. This shocked not only Merrick, but the entire room. It would surely lead to an outcry from the public. No fireworks to chase the beast away. It may sound odd to a man of science, but many truly believe that the moon is a beast hell-bent on devouring this planet. It is a core belief of many of the religions of this planet and the very foundation of the Supermoon Festival. You mean to tell me that the entire globe will not celebrate this holiday in the name of scientific progression? Merrick blurted out. Absolutely, and as a result, we need all hands on deck. Those of you who have taken off for this holiday, you will keep your vacation time and will be compensated by both the company and the country of Arkia itself for your service in the expansion of our species as a whole. You are all dismissed. Merrick couldn't believe it. They would be studying the comet by order of the government. Mark had come up to Merrick to complain, but Merrick barely heard him. He was lost in his own thoughts. The High Priest voiced his support. Many people were still furious. Protests began all around the world. Conspiracies of overreaching governments were touted in public squares. Children, upset at the disruption of their holiday, and many adults felt the same. Over many weeks came many speeches of reassurance and promises of government-funded celebration, though obviously delayed. Eventually, the dust settled and plans shifted into a quiet viewing of the moon and the meteor. Capital City, Ophi. Wayland paced the streets in tattered clothes, his smell no longer detectable to his nose. His hair was matted quite close to his head. Eyes had been blackened, bags hanging beneath them. He had been on his own for a very long time. He had seen it. He had seen the beast. It was on a lesser supermoon. It wasn't the closest the moon had come to the planet, but it was still close. Close enough. His parents had taken him camping. The cool air of the night kissed his cheeks as he made his way to the bush to relieve himself. The beast, it knows. It knows when it is close. The eyes of Silver opened on either side of the moon and closed shut. He screamed for his parents. They didn't believe him. No one did. Well, save for the priests. He did not sleep the rest of this trip. The priests in his village had reassured him that the beast could not devour the planet unless it got close enough, which it couldn't do thanks to the celebration of the supermoon. The fireworks scare the beast. They chase it away, which is why it is the biggest festival of the year, and the whole world celebrated. His parents, at first, dismissed this as a child receiving comfort from a religious leader. They didn't understand that Wayland had seen it For years he would insist that he had seen the beast, and it haunted his nightmares. His parents would argue with the priest, insisting that he scared Waylon and fed into his delusions as a way to further their religious causes. Then came the doctors and their diagnoses. Physically, he is well. There's nothing wrong with his eyes. Perhaps he requires a different specialist. Then came medications, one to help him sleep, another to help him feel normal, and others. He quit them all, and he left. No one believed him but the priest and the insane. He felt his own sanity slipping with time. Had he dreamt it? Was it a childish inability to admit he was wrong that destroyed his life? Many looked down on him. He was a runaway. Passing the video store, he saw a news broadcast. What it said made him panic. He sprinted to the closest church as the news rang out. No Supermoon celebration this year by decree of the government of Arkia. He claimed sanctuary and he became a clergyman. Maybe there still was time for him to have an honorable death and to be judged with kindness. Many smaller religions claim that the high priest had no authority to call off such an event, much less the government's. Of all the religions on this planet, this was the one thing they shared. Tensions had been high. Surely they wouldn't risk a war over one stupid comet. They did, in fact, intend to block this holiday out. Fireworks were seized, warehouses guarded, warnings issued in cities that the power would be out at precise times to ensure visibility. SRS 606, gone 26th. Merrick had emptied his desk, leaving room to work and record his findings. Telescopes were aimed at the calculated region of the sky the meteor would cross. Each person had their own section. Recording of the movement was to be measured as accurately as possible. Speed, size, color of the tail was even important, so they could speculate as to what it was made of. Merrick's designated section resided just to the left of the moon, and Mark somehow was stationed just to the right of it. As nightfall came, the world was the darkest it had been in centuries. So when a silver orb nearly the size of the moon appeared in Merrick's telescope, he was surprised and sprung back into his chair. Looking around, his eyes met Mark's in the darkness. Both had the same expression. There was no light. What was that? The two men placed their eyes back on the lens to watch in horror as the sky blinked at them. Both Merrick and Mark jumped from their seats, proclaiming some anomaly. Many chuckled. Though the old legends get in their head. Many historians suggested it was a story made up to bring peace, forming us all together under the threat of something larger. But the silver eyes that had appeared in the telescopes told another story now. The moon was a part of it, a lure that lulled them into safety. How had they not seen it? There was no undoing what had been done. There were no fireworks to chase the beast back. Many tried to set them up. Governments, through a haze of panic communications, attempted to arm themselves and take aim. Merrick, Mark, Waylon, however, watched in horror as the night sky turned into a gaping maw lunging at their planet, too stunned to even scream. Now, dear listeners, pay close attention to your fairies and fables. There's a little lie in every truth, and a little truth in every lie. Sometimes traditions are there for a reason. I would like to dedicate this story to my late grandfather. Thank you, Bruce E. Hitchcock, for raising me on horror stories. Thank you for walking with me. See you next time.